And if you like the idea, you can then move your loop to the next section over here and hit generate again. Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you a pretty cool Max for Live device called Loop Flip, which is great for generating ideas. Let's dive right in. I'm going to start with an empty Ableton Live session and just come up with a basic drum groove just to get things going. And therefore I'd like to start off with the 808 core kit. The 808 core kit is fantastic to start off with drums. I'm just going to load that into my session here. And now I'm going to look through a couple clips. I'm going to take this 909 core kit and take it as a foundation so I don't have to draw in my MIDI for the drums. Nice. Okay, let's change the BPM to a slower one. No, not 20. Let's go 120. And I'm going to chuck in a top loop just to make the groove feel a bit more organic. I have a couple of those in Yerevan. Let's go into top loops. Yeah, this one feels nice and full. Chuck it in there. Let's give the kick a bit more gain. Yeah, that feels cool. Okay, so we just quickly put ourselves a groove together, and now let's load up this device that I've been speaking of called Loop Flip. You can see I have a MIDI track above here, and in that MIDI track, I'm gonna load this device in. I think it's just about 14 euros or something like that, but it's really cool. How do we use it? Therefore, we have to go into session view. So let's hit tab to move into session view like this. And then what you wanna do is create 2 audio tracks. We're gonna work with 2 audio tracks for now to keep it simple. I'm gonna make one blue, call it Melodics. And I'm going to make the other one red, call it bass. In the Melodics channel, I'm going to load up a few samples, preferably synth one-shots or loops, anything that just contains somewhat of melodic information. So you could take any pack, type in a key that you like, for example, let's say F sharp minor as an example. And you can then go through the individual folders and you can just search up samples within the key of F sharp minor. For example here, just load those in and keep an account that Loop Flip takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tracks in total. And in those tracks, you can load up to 8 clips. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's how many clips that you can use within Loop Flip. So you can fill this down to the very bottom. Splice is a service that I like using because it has really cool filtering options. So for example, let's go sharp keys, F sharp minor. Yeah, F sharp minor. And then we get a ton of different sounds. For example, this sounds pretty interesting, so I'm going to sync it to my hard drive. I'm going to take the sound, drag it in here, and let's look up another sound. That one sounds really cool. Let's take that one as well. There we go. Just make sure that the samples are warped properly, the warping is set correctly, and in the bass channel we can do practically the same. You can load up bass sounds, bass one-shots, bass loops, toms work well. For example, this one here. This one's cool. Take a couple toms, and you know what? Let's take a couple non-tonal ones as well. Yeah, like this. Just chuck them in there. There we go. All right, so we have 2 tracks with the clips all filled out with melodic sounds and bass sounds. Now, if we hit tab, we can go into Loop Flip, hit reload tracks. So it'll basically load up every track that it has recognized. And then you can hit generate, and it'll generate you a phrase or sounds as snippets within a 2-bar loop. And if you extend that to 2 times, it'll extend that to a 4-bar loop. Bar. And let's hit generate a couple times. And I'm going to reduce the volume on the melodics and bass channel just to have a bit of headroom and hit play. Interesting, but it sounds really dry. So how about we add some effects onto the melody channel, preferably some kind of delay. I'm pretty tired of using echo, so I'm going to use Timeless. There are cool presets by Audio 10 that I like using for synths, like this one here. And you know what? Let's group together the melodics and the bass and apply a sidechain to the group. So we have that kick being the main focus of the groove. Just going to place it here. Open it up. Sidechain input from 808 core kit. And take the input from the kick. You can find it here. Kick bass drum post mixer. Dial it down. So basically every time the kick hits, everything else is being reduced in volume, so we have that classic sidechain ducking effect. Now let's jump back into Loop Flip and play around with the functions here. So again, you can reload tracks, so whenever you make changes in your session view, make sure that you hit reload tracks on Loop Flip and it'll give you the new results. Half time here, HT, changes the loop length to 4 bars, and it also generates you 8th notes instead of 16ths. Really cool. And if you like the idea, you can then move your loop to the next section over here and hit generate again, like this. And move along your grid as many times as you'd like. You can also extend the notes here, so the notes become longer, you see? And that'll usually give you longer clips, as you can see here. This gives me a really long bass clip. If we open up Loop Flip, we can see a really long bass clip. Really nice. And you can increase the global density over here. What that does is it just includes more snippets, more of those chops in your sound. And again, if we like what we hear, we can just extend the loop into the next section here and generate something completely new. You can generate the pattern, the loop, the modifiers. Modifiers are these guys over here. As you can see, you get 2 different pages. Page 2 is basically just for a bit of variation in case you want that. You can just generate a different pattern for page 2. So you get 2 phrases, right? Phrase 1, phrase 2, page 1, page 2. Nice. All right, let's move it on to the next section here because I kind of like that one, and just hit generate a couple more times. Pretty cool results, honestly. Let's move it on to the next section, and you can repeat this as many times as you'd like. I'm not really sure how exactly the algorithm behind this works, but just tweak around with the knobs and see if you can come up with something interesting here. Swing adds swing, so it sounds kind of groovy and off time. Yeah. Really cool for toms and drum information, but I'm going to keep it at 1 because I feel like this is a bit too funky. Steps, you see it's set to 16 right now. We can also change it to make it sound more polyrhythmically interesting. So we can make it 7. That's an odd number. And you see it automatically adapts the loop. We don't want that. We want the loop to be within our fixed grid, but still play us those polyrhythmic results. So this is how it would sound. Nice. And if we like that, again, what do? Duplicate, take the loop, move it into the next section, and hit generate. Oh, pretty long clip there. Ooh. Really, really cool. The only disadvantage that I feel like this plugin has is it gives you a lot of clicks. The audio snippets are chopped, which results in, these clicks at the beginning of the sound, right? Which can be not so attractive. There's one way to combat that. If you highlight all of your clips and hit Command Option Shift, and it'll basically create crossfades. Not a 100% solution to the problem because you still have to set some fades manually, but it's definitely worth the effort. And if you get an empty clip like this, like it generates you just these silence parts, what you can do is highlight individual notes or clips, for example, like this. Then you can hit Option Shift and scroll through the sound like that. And it'll scroll through the sound in the current grid that you are in. Right now we are in 1 bar. How about we go back into 16th? So let's select these, Option Shift, and scroll through the sound. You hear those clicks? That's kind of annoying, but that's kind of the price of using this plugin. I feel like it's still worth it. It still gives you really interesting results that you wouldn't have come up either way. And if you really like, you can take your entire section like this. So highlight everything you want, hit Shift Tab to open up this little warping panel over here, and then just pitch them down. Just go like, ooh. Yeah, man, it's just so fun. So fun to play around with these different results that Loop Flip can give you. And you can chuck in some drums here, some percussion loops, top loops, whatever you feel like. Mess around, have some fun. This video isn't sponsored by them. It's a small company, this XY Studio Tools, I believe from Sweden. Just discovered them randomly and I thought this was really fun, so I thought I might share it. I highly recommend that you just try using melodic samples that are within a similar key. For example, today I selected sounds that are all in the key of F sharp minor. That gives you the best results. And just one more tip, because I feel like sharing this as well. You can create a new audio track. Let's put that outside the group. We can select the melodics layer. We can allow the melodics to run in here and record that on the side. So while our groove is playing through, we're recording the melodics into a new layer. Okay, I feel like that's enough. What you can do is then highlight the clip that we just recorded. Make sure that you're either in the 8th grid or the 16th. I usually go for 8th. And then I select a loop length of 4 or 3 bars. Let's go for 3. That gives us more rhythmically interesting results. Drag the clip to the very end. And now we can blend out the first layer, play it with the second one here. Yeah, sounds kind of like Acid Poly and the unusual artists. So you can just select a loop range that you like. And you've probably seen this technique in a couple of videos of mine. It's really cool to get those ambient background textures in your tracks and make the track feel a bit more melodically alive. You can also pitch the sound here. And mix that in with your original, for example. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, like and subscribe, as well as grab these sounds on LotusTunes. I'll see you in the very next video. Cheers.